you guys, but if you're reading through it, and I know we're not like talking a lot, we're gonna all participate. I loved how the identities, were y'all thinking of people on your team? She's a dabbler, and then yeah, I'm not quite a high performer apparently, because I'm like going, ooh, that hurt.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But that's what I loved about this whole chapter was he said that this is the how about being a high performer. So we're not lost. There's hope.
Yes. So I'm going to keep helping Lisa if y'all want to, start on the performance prompt number 1.
Okay.
I don't know what else to do for her.
Yeah. I don't even know exactly how to handle this because we're all just going to be able to share. But I mean, I just thought it was great. The very first bold sentence that says, who needs me on my A game the most right now?
Mm-hmm.
And then giving a trigger for that. I love that. What did y'all think of that? Anybody have a comment to make?
I just thought it was super smart. It's such a good way to like get focused as soon as you sit down.
So good. For once, it's a good trigger instead of a bad trigger, right?
Yeah.
I love that. And that quote from Henry David Thoreau, not only must we be good, but we must also be good for something. So I think there's just lots to think about right there, that it's, again, that question of who needs me on my A game the most right now. And I know that I think that fits in with a practice that I know that a lot of people have, even in their morning devotion or prayer, where they just ask God to bring to them somebody that they can help that day, without any motive, without any self-serving, I guess, but just asking, Lord, who can I help today? And it might not just be with Plexus, it might be with a lot of different things. I know Stephanie had put in the thread that she couldn't be here today because she has a friend that just needs her. So who do I need to be on my A game for today? When he talks about butt hits the chair, then you ask and answer the question. That's the practice. And I love this practice for several reasons. Anybody want to talk about one of these practices or reasons for the practice in particular, how it applies to you or what you thought about it? I excuse my crazy appearance. I'm painting bedrooms and I just pulled my hair down from my ugly bun to do this. So it's a little wild. I apologize. Melissa, you already said that you like the fact that it's simple, and he says anybody can do it. What else? He talks about it's something that you can do frequently. So yeah, how many times do we get up and sit down all day long? Whether it's, like he says, in the office chair or the kitchen table or whatever. I also really like, because he had talked so much previously about high performers self-monitor and that they actually do it several times a day. So if you tie this trigger to, kind of self-monitoring, and I guess that even just asking, who can I help? That's a way of self-monitoring, or asking, am I helping anybody? Have I helped anybody? That's a definite self-monitoring as we go through the day. What else?
Got on.
Yay!
Yeah, I had it from my phone. I can't get on through my computer at all.
That is so weird. I'm like, I know that's the right link. Everybody's like, isn't that crazy? But remember last week, Stephanie, it took her, I don't know how many times, and she finally was able to get on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It took me a lot. I mean, like, I kept trying.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sorry, Vicki.
We'll see how this works. Yeah.
there was one thing I liked in here when I was reading it. It said, in the game of life, you get to choose your identity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so when you aspire to be and how you show up, that's big on how you're going to impact someone, you know.
Can you imagine if we had been told that and we told our kids that?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many times Randy and I, we have between us 5 boys, and the youngest one's 21, and we're like going, God, and we feel like we really did encouraging and dreaming big, that gosh,
If
if
you
we
had been
had
able to-
really
yeah.
instilled these in them when they were younger.
Mhm.
I highlighted when you have someone external to take action for, you tend to perform better. I like that. And then the most right now is what you can do. Like not the most, but the most right now.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It's kind of like keeping the main thing the main thing.
yeah, definitely. I like that too.
And then
I
it's
saw, oh, sorry, Babette, go ahead.
that's okay. And then I had in here when it talked about teaching, I just had in here that it step into the spirit of service, because it's what high performers do. I think we all have that spirit of service, and it's like how to glom onto that to do.
I've had 2 thoughts while I was sitting here listening. I'm trying to get my kids' lunch together, but I saw a quote this week that talking about identity that says, a bad day does not define your worth. It doesn't you don't identify by your bad day, that each day's new and you have value and you are enough. And it just reminds me, because how often do we have bad days and we go to bed thinking I'm such a failure, I'm such this, I'm such that, because of one day that just, was a crapshoot.
Mhm.
And I love what Karen said about, we can keep redefining our identity, and honing in on our identity, that we're not stuck in one place forever.
Right.
And, that 1% progress of improvement. And I was on a call this week with the Good Community, with Brooke, and she was talking a lot this week about vision and setting intent. And one of the things that I'm really focusing on right now is building new relationship with my team and trying to reconnect with my team. And she made the suggestion, and I loved it, of, sending out messages that are service oriented, that have nothing to do with Plexus, nothing to do with the products, but just asking them, as you're headed towards the end of the year, what is something what's a goal that you're still working on, or something that you're trying to accomplish before the end of the year? And how can I support you in that? And how can I pray for you to reach your goal? And have it completely about where they're going and what they're wanting to do, and how you can serve them in that capacity. And so, that just, when we were talking about service and serving others, that's what came to my mind. And so that's in my focus this week, of trying to send those messages out to people on my team, just to reconnect, to see where they're at towards the end of the year, as we run towards 2023. But anyway, that sounds so weird to say that.
Yeah, really.
I started doing that, Leah, because she said something about I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago on a Zoom call about just sending out project broadcasts that have nothing to do with Plexus, like just a nice quote or some way to connect to your community without always asking them for something, giving them some value and some, I don't know, a little bit of nice text. Like she referenced Trent Sheldon and how he's always serving his community by sending out positive affirmation texts and things like that. So this last month I practiced it, and I sent out something like, it's Monday, but don't be gloomy, it's a great day, or something, just simple little things. And this month I think I'm going to do something thankful, something about being thankful, so that when I do ask them to buy something from me, they're more apt to listen to my text.
I wish I'd done more of that when I first got started.
Oh,
Probably have more of them getting my text.
Well, I've lost a lot of my builders for various reasons, but I have a builders chat, and I had been like was very business oriented in the chat of the stuff that I've sent. And this month I've made the shift of every day putting an inspirational quote in there. And I've had more people popping in that chat since I've started doing that. And I've actually had a couple of the girls message me, you know, thanks, I needed to hear that today or whatever. So yes, Lisa, I agree. Adding value is so key of just showing people you're seen, you're heard, you have value. And, and that has become my focus the last 2 months of this year, is just really focusing on how can I add value to other people? Because the reality is I need my team, but if I'm not adding value to them, why would they want to be with me? And so that's one of the things Brooke challenged us yesterday, was to ask yourself, who am I? What unique qualities do I have to offer? And why do people need me? And y'all, those questions are hard. They are hard, but that's where my focus is if I have the need for the team and I have the need for the business, then how can I motivate my team to need me? Does that make sense? Like necessity in reverse of showing them the value of where they're at and what it can bring to them.
Yeah.
That's good. I'm just curious, how are you all doing with journaling? I know we started out at the very beginning talking about journaling, and Lisa apparently is like the journal ninja. But when you said that, Leanne, about, when you go to bed and you're like, oh, I was such a failure today or whatever, I thought, journal. That's one of the reasons that we should be doing it. And I'll be the first one to tell you that I haven't, but this keeps bringing to mind that I need to and why I need to.
Yeah. I struggle with it. And I remember, like, when we were growing up, I don't know if it's a thing anymore, but all the girls wrote in their diaries and all their that. And I'd sit there and go, what do I say?
That's me. Like, what am I supposed to write?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never been a journaler. I've never been a diary person. So it's really a foreign territory to me.
Definitely something to work on.
So I look at it this way. Sometimes we journal when we're writing our Facebook posts. It's kind of like, you're writing your thoughts and how you feel about your day. Like today, I wrote about exercise and how you just, this is something I would write in my journal. I didn't want to do it, but I did it anyways. That kind of thing. And I've been journaling a lot in my, like, I have a prayer journal. So I circle, the people in prayer, and I talk about that. And then I've been doing that pretty consistently, but I've been really bad, I'm going to just admit, at journaling at night.
The Bible journaling is the one kind of journaling that I've always done. So, I'll read scripture and then I write a reflection on it, what that meant to me, what I got from it, whatever. But that's not, I don't know, it's the only kind of journaling I do. So I'll have to think about that.
I've been really bad about it lately, actually. And I keep thinking about it every night, like, oh, I need to journal. And then I'm too tired and the kids are in my bed and it's just like, blah. But when I started journaling, I think it was like an Oprah thing, but it was like around this time. And it was, she had done something about, similar to this, about just being grateful. And when you start to recognize the things that you're grateful for, you start to see more of that. And so it was all about how she gratitude journals. And it's a really easy way to get started. So just at the end of the day, focusing, and it was like, I think she said she did like 5. So it's like finding 5. So I was like, okay, I can do 5 sentences a night. And you just write what happened that day that you were grateful for, or that made you smile, or that made you happy, but they had to be super specific. It couldn't just be like, I'm grateful for my husband. Like, it had to be like, what did he do that day that made me feel that way? And it was a really good way to get in the practice. And it really does change your whole like perception. Cause then by the end of the month, I was like, oh, what can I be grateful for today? Like you are looking for it. So I do think that it's a good way to get started.
One thing that popped in my head, and I know we're going back, but when we're talking about, we can create our identity. And since over half of us are over 50, I can say this. I don't know if y'all know, and her first name's Darlene. I wish I could remember her last name. She's like the oldest Emerald. But anyway, and I'm 99% sure it was her. She was a Walmart greeter, just trying to get by. And somebody that she had, was a regular, went up to her and was like, you know what, you have such a positive attitude. I think you would be great at what I do. And now she's an Emerald with Plexus. So, and I mean, she was like, in her late 70s. So even though, we're like, oh, I wish I'd known this when I was little, and I said it, we still can recreate our, our image and still be what we want to be, no matter how old we are. Victorious Emotions. I hadn't ever heard of that one.
It's a Christian book. It's Christian based by Wendy Blockland, I think it is.
Mhm.
And it's teaching you how to reprogram your brain and your thought patterns from trauma negative responses to positive responses. It actually talks about creating new neural pathways, and she does a lot of research with Carolyn Leaf. And but it's really good. I mean, it's it's a 19 chapter book, but the chapters are like 3 pages long, and they're like super impactful. But she has a journal that goes with it that has daily exercises and daily prompts that you do for reprogramming your brain. But one of the big things she talks about to reprogram from the negative to the positive is, before you go to bed at night, think of your 5 successes of the day. And it could be just, I got through the day. If you're in a really negative, bad place, to start small with just little things like I got up and got dressed. That's a success. And so that was one of the things that she talked about, journaling at night before you go to bed, because it sets your mind on a positive note before you go to sleep. So, but I recommend it. I've gone through the book like 3 or 4 times, and every time I go through it, it has a whole new layer for me.
And I think, like what Leanne said, it changes your mindset. I think when we were talking earlier about like one bad day doesn't define us, like it helps you, like if you have struggled in that day, it does help you find something like to be thankful for, grateful for, like see some good. When you're feeling so negative and so drawn out, it does totally flip your mindset to do it at night.
I'm so tired, and my eyes are so tired at night that it's hard for me to actually read and see. So what I've actually started doing, I journal better in the morning, and I said that in the chat, but what I've actually started doing is, like, as I lay down at night, just to think through that process and set my mind and set my thoughts before I go to sleep. As I'm going off to sleep, my daughter, she lays with us for a little while before she goes to bed, but she has scripture lullabies that she likes to listen to that are actual scripture verses put to like lullaby music. And so it's very peaceful and very calming. And so that's what I lay there as I'm going off to sleep, to think about my day and what was successful and positive things before I go to sleep. So if you can't journal at night, that's one way to do it.
Be a great thing to start with in the right frame of mind. So did anybody answer the performance prompts before the call? I thought about them. I liked number 4. I know that I'm on my A game when I think, feel, or behave. Kind of in the reverse. I can definitely tell when I'm not on my A game. I'm thinking about all the stuff I should have done. But when I feel accomplishment and like I was productive and I helped somebody, or, made time for my family, when, it was easier to, would have been easier to get on, a training or something, but I hadn't, what I'm saying, spent more time, block it and make sure I'm present with them. So I think those are definitely them being pleased with how the day went and what I got accomplished is kind of how I can tell if I'm on my A game or not.
Karen, one thing that Brooke did in high performance, I think Leanne can probably attest to this, is number 4 kind of reminds me of imagining that you're at the level of performance that you want to be in. Like, for example, how would it look, feel, and how would I behave as an emerald?
Mhm,
How would I look, feel, and behave as a sapphire?
mhm.
How would I look, feel, and behave as a ruby? Ruby, what does that look like daily? What is it? And so I feel like this is one way that we can apply that one question.
Mhm.
So when you're journaling tonight,
Mhm.
think about how you would look, how you would feel, how you would perform or behave as whatever your next rank is. Do you remember that, Leanne?
Yes, I was trying to type in the chat. I'm sorry, I'm eating, so I have my video off. I don't want y'all see me shoving food in my mouth, but yes, and one of the things that I've taken from that is I've started looking for videos, YouTube videos of jewels, emeralds, sapphires, and diamonds, and listening to them. Like, I know, like, I've typed in several of the diamonds, and they all have like tons of YouTube videos for your business, of how your day looks, and team calls, and different stuff like that. So that's kind of what I've started looking at, and looking at their Facebook pages, you know just to kind of see, how do they conduct themselves on social media? What do they, I love Jessica Heffley, and her Instagram reels are hysterical. I don't know if y'all follow her, but she's very positive and very uplifting, and she's got a lot of great content, but she has got tons of YouTube videos of, stuff that she's done in the past. And, so that's kind of how I've taken that, of, if I'm gonna look like and act like a jewel, what does that look like? Because for me, has always been kind of ambiguous. Well, what does that mean to act like an emerald? Well, kind of have to know what an emerald acts like to do that. So I've kind of started, I guess, for lack of a better term, researching jewels, of what do they look like? How do they act? How do they conduct themselves? What are they participating in? What are they presenting? How are they presenting themselves? That kind of mindset.
Can I say it's just like every other rank? I'm just going to say that, having earned Emerald this year, yeah, it's awe-inspiring and all of that. You're still putting in all of the work that you did before. And if there's something else, there's another level of stress that comes on top of each rank, because you want to perform that much better for everybody around you, for your team. And there's this level of attainment. It's almost like you have to keep up. So there's a little bit of stress that comes with it. So I try to think of it as an emerald, what do I need to do on a daily basis? What activities do I need to do on a daily basis? And I always go back to the same thing. Get into my IPA, be very balanced. Try not to do one thing more than the other. Melissa and I were talking about this yesterday. She's like in creation mode right now. And I said, you have to get into action mode. Get into action mode. Try to be more balanced in two different, like, if you're going to create, but then also maybe message. Like, you have to have a good balance in an IPA. That's how I look at it. Sorry, I didn't mean to get off track.
So what are some things?
That was so good. That was so good what you just said in there about the YouTube and researching the people above you. I'd never even thought about that. I just have watched and glean information, but never to do that research. And that's so interesting to me. So thank you for sharing that. And Lisa, thank you.
So on the next one, things that throw you off your A game. What are some things that throw you off your A game?
social media.
I just said, the things that throw me off my A game is trying to meet that attainment of whatever it is, then you don't do anything.
Yeah. Think of all the things I should be doing and then don't do any of them. Yeah. And I also get thrown off with, a negative comment or a snide remark or
Yes,
I let that throw me off and I shouldn't, but
Right.
me too.
that's a biggie for me. Yeah,
Also
message
being
it in your way.
overwhelmed by
Exactly.
too much training. Like I feel like I see people doing these trainings. I'm like, should I do that training? Should I do that training? Should I do that training? It's like a rabbit hole.
And like we were just saying, if you go to YouTube,
Yeah.
y'all, all the training we'd ever need is out there. I mean, that's why I've gotten to where I was like, unless it's like $19 for some, I'm not paying for training until I get off my butt and do everything I know to do.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
I found that I was paying like different monthly fees for different people's training advice every month. And I just was getting so bogged down and had myself to where I couldn't catch up for that day on their stuff or their stuff or their stuff. So I just didn't catch up at all. And I ended up just scrolling. And so I canceled some memberships this month
Good.
to those training groups and things like that, because I've just gotten so overwhelmed with the amount of information that's out there. And, I think that when we go to act like Jules, some of it, like me, I don't really know what that means. So I just try to do the next little thing that will get me to the next big thing, like just even a step. So just that canceling those things, and I need to go cancel 2 more because I just thought of those as I was sitting here. But it's just to me, that can bog you down is, you feel like you're indebted to those people to learn because you're paying for it and they're interested too. So if you're not, then get out. That's how I'm feeling about myself, like get out, because it's not that I'm not interested. It's that I just don't, that I have other things to do with my time right now than that.
Mhm.
Does that make
And you-
sense?
Don't get into action when you're doing the training.
Right.
You have to have a good balance of training, learning. I think you should do it every day, but not overwhelmingly. So I was in the same boat, Babette. I had Brooke, and then I had Emily, and then I had something else. I'm like, and then now they're talking about social cellar door. I'm like, I'm out. I'm sticking with one and that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how I feel too. Like, I don't know if I'll stay in 2 or what, but right. I was in like paying for 5 different things, and some of them are $49 a month. They were anywhere from $9.99 to $49 a month. And I wasn't even going to the site, the website. So I canceled Brooke's thing. I canceled Thomas's. I'm going to cancel Brock and Jasmine Star. I do hers too, but I just never get to them. Like, this is what I want to do here. And so I'm getting the most for my soul here and for my people's souls.
Well, I think all of us have realized, if you stop and look back on a day in your week, that you spent like 4 hours on Zooms. You went from one to the other, to the other, to the other, and you just never get anything done. And they're all good, but I think you have to make a decision between good and what's best, for you, which totally segueing here, but I'm in Brooke's Good Life. I've probably never watched but like 2 things in it, because I don't know about y'all, but I never get the text messages that something's happening, and I don't think of it if I don't get the text message. So I don't know how to solve that problem. But anyway.
Do you have the calendar connected to your calendar? Do you use Google Calendar?
I do use Google Calendar, but I don't know.
Added it to
connect
my calendar. So I went on the website, and you have a way to add the calendar to your calendar. So they all pop up on my calendar now. Now, does that mean I attend all of them? No, but I try to get to a couple
Yeah.
of them, and I feel like it's most worthwhile out of all of them. Do you know?
How, yeah, I'll definitely look at that. I had no idea you could connect her calendar to
button.
your Google Calendar.
Yeah, you have to be logged into your Google account, and then you click on it, and now they're all on my calendar.
Just hers, or you do that with any?
Anybody that I'm involved with, but right now I just have it on for hers.
Okay, good. I'll take a look at that because you really
There's a-
hate it when you're paying for something and you're not using it. And Align, I always think to check to see, because I've been doing Align since the very beginning. So that's several years. So I always think to look to see what trainings are going to be on there, but I've never been in the Good Life enough to think about it. So yeah.
Well, and
Right.
I don't use Google Calendar, so I have a note at the first of the month to check the calendar schedule for Good Life so that I can go through and put it on my calendar, and so that's one of the things I do. Google Calendars is like it. I've tried, my husband has tried to convert me to Google Calendars for years, and it's just like I can't I don't know, it just doesn't work for me. So
I love it because it has this new thing where you can view the calendar. It's called a button for Google Calendar. So all of my things for the day pop up on my computer, whereas where I work most of the time.
oh, that's
So
awesome.
it has like this like little thing
Right.
that opens up. Hold on, I'll show you. How do I move
On
that?
your laptop.
Yeah, it's on my laptop. It's like hold on a minute, I'll show you what it looks like. You see this?
Oh, okay.
So
Oh,
it
nice.
pops up, and so it tells me what's going on that day. And it's just a little button on it's like an extension on Google.
Yeah.
That's
Have you
cool.
tried to do it on your phone? Does it work on your phone or no?
I just no, I don't use it on my phone. I just go to my calendar on my phone and look.
Okay.
But also, just to add to what Babette and Vicki were saying, one of the things that I've recently had to do is take a step back and look at, like what Babette was saying, with all the Zooms, of what is bringing me the most benefit and what is not. And with homeschooling, my daughter, our best time is in the morning. She does not do well with school in the afternoon. And so I've had to really structure my day of eliminating Zooms in the morning time. And if it cuts into the time where I'm doing school with her, then I have to really look at the benefits of versus the sacrifice of her school,
Sure.
And so it's been a hard thing for me to take a look at, because I'm having to cut out some stuff, but that's okay. I have to remember FOMO is it's okay. I have all that I need at my fingertips. If I'm not, if I can't be on all the Zooms, and for me, a lot of it was community, and so I've had to, say, well, that may be great, but what's the priority? And so that's kind of been my rule of thumb is, where's my priority right now? When this Zoom pops up, what's the priority for that time slot? And in prioritizing the time before I commit to something, and one of the things I like about the Good Life is I don't have to be live on the Zooms. I can go back and watch them, the recordings, and she's got so much other content on that community that you can utilize at your own pace when you have time, so, but anyway.
Yeah, that's a good point, Melissa. Who needs your A game? That's exactly what you were saying, Leanne, is who needs me on my A game and establishing what your priorities are. And I think that everything that we're talking about, just about priorities and utilizing our time and even conserving our money, is all part of what we're talking about overall with being high performers. What does a high performer do? So
Absolutely. Leanne, I I learned that you can change your Facebook and Instagram like algorithm, the people that are looking at your stuff in the morning. If you just start posting at another time, then they'll learn to come to you. You may lose some people, but this is mostly on Instagram is what I'm talking about, because I don't know if you see on your insights where it's the best time for you to post, but I've tried that, and some of mine have gone wild if I've posted at midnight. I mean, I've just tried to see what would work the best. And then some are, are good early in the morning, and some about my ones that I post at noon are usually really good. So, and that's only on Instagram, but you can what I'm saying is you can remove your people that are with you to the new time slot. If they're looking for you to post something at 8 and you can't like do that consistently, then if you could do 1 o'clock in the afternoon, then you could just start doing that from now and get them looking for you then. Does that make sense? Okay.
Lisa, did you?
At the end, if we could just talk about timing of the rest of this book study.
Oh, okay.
When you guys are ready to wrap up right before everybody leaves.
Okay. We haven't talked at all about what he said about flow. Did that kind of resonate with any of you? And a lot of it probably we've talked about in some other way, but he talks about with flow happens when several of these elements are in play. And I really think that is what we've just been talking about, is how can we have flow in our day and prioritize so that we are performing at our best. So you have goals that are clear and challenging, yet attainable. And I think that would be daily goals as well as everything else. So if you start your day knowing what you want it to flow like, and then strong concentration and focused attention are required in everything that we've said about if you get off into YouTube, or if you're going from even, I don't know, I think maybe our brains change as we get older. And Lisa and Melissa, I know y'all have my same teacher brain, but think about when you were in school or when you were in college, and you could go from one class to the next class, have totally different information presented to you in an hour span or an hour and a half, and you could like stay on top of all of it. My brain is not like that anymore. I cannot go from a Zoom on this to a Zoom on that to a Zoom on another thing and have the level of comprehension and the ability to utilize that information the way that I used to. And I think we've talked about that before. One of the problems with so much information is whether or not we ever implement it or not. So I think that's another thing about having a flow to your day, is really realizing again what your priority is. If I'm doing, if I'm doing a training on project broadcast right now, then how am I best going to implement that information? Do I need to take an hour and work on implementing it, or go on to something else, or whatever? Do you know what I'm saying? I think it's all just about flow. And also, I think that, several of you have already touched on IPA and how important that is to the flow of your whole day, which really that is the priority.
But I think that kind of goes back to the chapter on energy, right? And setting your intention before you get started on something, and taking those breaks. Like when you were just talking about going from class to class, there's a mental break that you're taking from when you're walking from one class to the other class, so that even though it doesn't seem like much, and even like when I think about my kids' day, they have 4 minutes between classes, they're still getting like a breather to be like, okay, refresh. And now I'm going to sit down at this next. And I keep trying to tell my husband, because my husband rolls from one Zoom to another all day when the days that he's working at home. And I keep telling him, like, you have to get up. even if you just walk to the doorway of your office and back to your desk, like you have to
Right.
have that like break in order to be ready to accept more information. But I do think what you were just saying about if you are going to commit to doing a training, do schedule time right afterwards to implement something from that training. So whatever it might be, okay, again, going back to that classroom practice, like you've given them the lesson and now you need some time to practice it before you close it up and walk away. You have to implement something before you jump to the next thing. Otherwise it's just going to be a mess of information that you're just sitting in and swimming in all day and not actually getting the benefits of doing the training.
Right. And if you look at these, tying into it, really, Melissa just kind of, to me, summarized it. If you look at number 6, you're getting immediate feedback on your performance. But number 7, there's a balance between your skill level and the challenge presented. And you know what you're doing is doable, even if it's difficult. And then you have a sense of personal control over the situation and the outcome. That's probably the best summary of what I was thinking about, is having that balance, your own control over the situation and over the outcome, because you do have that balance of, that's the reason we do training, right? Is to improve our skill level and be able to meet the challenges that we have. So I think all 10 of these are really, really so good when we stop and think about what do we want the flow of our day to look like as a high performer. Leanne was talking about, what does a Jewel look like? How does she do her day or whatever? And that's the same thing when we're talking about just our days in general, is what is the flow of our day? What should it look like for us individually? Everyone's going to be different, but what does our flow need to look like? What does my flow need to look like for me to feel like I'm a high performer, and that at the end of the day, I can journal that I was on top of things? Any thoughts on that? Anything else?
I agree with everything that you guys just said. Melissa, you go back to the whole thing of when you're a teacher, you turn and talk, you let the kids kind of digest what they're learning. And so that goes back to the same thing we were talking about, not trying to do too much training at once, because you can't implement it all and you just get confused with your what your real focus should be, which is doing the training that's going to increase your income. Let's face it, that's what we're all here to do. We're all here to be business builders and increase our income. How can we do that with the training that we're getting? If we're doing project broadcast, is it to learn how to make more money using project broadcast? Is it we're doing this to learn how we identify with our people, how we identify with ourselves, so that we can do the things that will make us more money? Let's just get honest. We want to build, we want to make money, we want to serve others, we want to do the things that make us feel good. And everything should come back to that. How do I balance so I can have the IPA time to do the things that need to be done? Right? Those are my
Absolutely.
thoughts.
Yeah, I think part of the day and part of your flow has to be the implementation of all the things that you've absorbed that day. Otherwise, it's useless. It's just going to sit there in your brain.
Well, okay, so I'm just going to add to this what Lisa was saying, because my husband and we've had a lot of things come at us financially the last couple of months, like really big, unexpected things. So our finances are really tight. So paying for like HPC again, or paying for Tiffany Peterson, or paying for Align, those are really not doable for me right now. And so I had to ask myself, okay, well, if I'm not going to be able to be in a training, what is that, a coaching, what is that? How am I going to do that? And I was really praying about it. I was like, you know, Lord, you know, I need to invest in myself. So what does that look like for me? And I really felt like the Lord spoke to me and said, you have a notebook from Momentum Makers that you did with Brooke and Emily 2 times, all the material. You have 2 books from Align that you did with Brooke. You have 2 books of high performance workbooks. You have a stack of personal development that you could go back through and reinvest in yourself with the money that you've already spent, that you can go back through. It's sort of like, you know, like what we're doing here. And I was like, okay. And he was like, you don't have to spend a big price tag when you've got it sitting on your shelf right there. You just have to make the commitment of what are you going to do? Where are you going to invest it? And how are you going to spend your time? And I was like, okay. And it's like Lisa said, you know, the biggest growth, personal growth that ever has happened to me was through the high performance training that I've done with Brooke. So, you know, I have to look at what is going to benefit me the most. And, you know, the Momentum Makers is basic business building stuff, but it was so good. I mean, it's practical IPA stuff. So I'm like, okay, I need to go dust that off the shelf and pull it out and start re-implementing the things that I've gotten away from in that. So, you know, that's kind of where I'm at of, you know, of looking at what do I already have available to me that I'm not utilizing.
Yeah, and I heard one thing, because I had, when Brooke did Align a couple of years ago, I was like, oh, I wish I'd done that. I really need to invest. And then I was talking to somebody, because I was thinking it was like Momentum Makers. And they're like, no, it's more like mindset stuff. So I'm glad I didn't invest in that. But Momentum Makers is something, and somebody gave me the training, but it's just different doing it by yourself. So that would be, I've heard that was like the best thing ever that I missed, because I didn't know about it till it was over, because I was not, you know, I didn't get into the business building at first.
Well, I think there's been like 4 of them. There was
But I mean, like the last on-site in a room all together.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I did not do that one because I had just been to Brooks Mastermind, but I think that's absolutely true, Leanne, as far as everything. I mean, I have binders of stuff, you know, that I could definitely, you know, do. And it's not like the thought hasn't occurred to me that that would be the perfect thing to do. But I swear to you, I think that I need to like get out my calendar and write it in just like I would teacher mode classes that, you know, on Mondays at 10, I do Momentum Makers. On Thursdays at 3, I do whatever, you know, there's a ton of them that I have. So I also, you know, I did training with Bob Heilig for 2 years, and I have all of that stuff. So yeah, there's a whole lot.
Hey, Lisa, can
Then
you
schedule a block. Oops, sorry.
go ahead?
I was just gonna say, schedule a block right after that where you're gonna implement whatever you just did.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But I really need that kind of calendar that has the hourly days. I guess it's another teacher thing, but
I was just gonna say, I actually contemplated going and buying a lesson plan book because I have my planner and everything, but I need a lesson plan book.
exactly. That's a really good idea. I think
Like I need to know what I'm posting in social media, because if I just leave it out, I get overwhelmed because I start scrolling first and I see everybody's posts for the day. And I'm like, oh, that's a good one. Oh, that's a good one. Maybe I should do that. Maybe I should do that. And then all of a sudden I've been online for 3 hours and haven't posted anything. And then I have to go. And it's like, oh, that was a waste.
Yeah.
My favorite planner is the Happy Planner vertical lined.
Love the Happy Planner.
Because the Happy Planner has the month block with the bigger one. See, here's mine.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it's got the bigger blocks, but the vertical line, the week is not like a block here, a block here, a block here, but it's like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then it has it lined down. And so you can actually go through and like put your time slots and then leave part of it to where you put like a to-do list at the top.
Love it.
And I have found that's what works best for me because I have it all right there,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And so, you know, I tried the Brendan Burchard planner, high performance planner.
It's crazy.
That was
one.
like, I was super overwhelmed with that. I was like, I can't do this. This is causing me anxiety. I can't do
I
like,
have
"That's
that planner, and because of that, I haven't journaled because I'm so dang overwhelmed by that planner. What's the name of that planner that you have, Leanne?
It's called the Happy Planner, but the Happy Planner has several different layouts.
Mhm.
I mean, like they've got faith and teacher, and you want to look for one that's vertical lined. The
Okay.
vertical lined layout.
Just recently found a planner that has one day on each page, which I love because I do a lot of writing on one page. Plus it has the month at a glance. It took a lot to find it. I mean, you guys, we could talk about planners all day, but this is it. It's called
let's talk
the Day Designer or something like that. But let's look at the days. It has the time on the left, and then you come out what you need to do.
That's all one
there.
day.
This is one day right here.
Gotcha.
Will you
I
show us that
love-
again so we can see the name of it?
Put it
So
in the
this is
chat.
called, it's one day and it has the actual times on it. And then it has like blocks for you to write stuff, you know, times, and then where you can write stuff. So you have to actually put that stuff in there. But then it also has the month at a glance, which I also love. Hold on, I'll tell you what it is right now.
I think it's called Day on a Page Planner. I just Googled it and it's on Amazon. Yeah. Day on
Day
a,
Designer.
Oh, I had one of those before and I loved it. Loved it.
so
Yeah,
real quick, can we talk about the schedule? Because I have to get off and get on another Zoom. And I know we need to talk about the schedule, Lisa.
Oh, and I need to get on another Zoom too.
I know, we gotta go.
Okay, so
Here we go.
I can't really show you my screen, or I can, but so we're running into where we're gonna have to either shorten things up or extend into the new year for the last chapter, because I don't think we're gonna get it done. So Leanne and I have productivity, and it starts, or Leanne and somebody, I don't know if we're gonna do it together, Leanne, or if, I don't know. You and Karen are gonna do one day, and I don't know what's going on. But anyways, productivity is 11:15 and 11:29 is what I have those weeks. And then December 6 and 13 would be the influence. And then we actually have 2 more chapters. And so I was either going to propose we do the last one on courage, which is super important, on the 20th, and just either we stop there or we come back and do courage in the new year and sustaining in the new year. So it's really up to the group. I'm finding this is very helpful for me. It's not been a bother at all for me to come. In fact, I think we should be thinking over the next several weeks what we could do next to keep kind of this thing going, maybe once a week, like a book study. But anyways, what are your thoughts, guys?
I think we ought to not do the 2 weeks between Christmas and New Year, just because we're always, I mean, I know with us, we're very busy. I have family that comes in, stuff like that. And I wouldn't mind extending it out past the first of the year.
Either we shorten it and we finish on the 20th, or we extend it to the new year. That's the proposal.
I'd rather extend it because I think it's just so beneficial the way we kind of just dive in and cover
Agree.
stuff.
How
I
cool
wouldn't
is
want to
it?
like shorten it. So
Agree.
If we do it like you were saying, Lisa, we would do the courage, the first 2 of courage before Christmas, then come back and start the new year with the second 2 of courage, right? You said courage started on the 20th. You're muted. You're muted.
Lisa, you're muted.
I think we should stop. I think we should stop on the 13th. I don't think we should do it on the 20th because I think it's too busy. So the 13th would be the last of influence, the week of the 13th. And then we start courage and sustaining after the new year.
Let's do that.
Even if we wanted to meet that week, I mean, if we're like, hey, you know, anybody wants to hop on and brainstorm, or, you know, it's not
Yeah.
like we don't have to meet. Because it's gonna be the week before Christmas and we're like, how are y'all, you know, what are you doing before? So, and then if people don't want to get on, they don't have to. But at least
We
we
could
keep.
maybe we could make that week the 20th. Maybe just meet the 20th and make it like a strategy
Yeah. For end of the year,
session
How
for
to
the
end the
new
year.
starting 2023 with a bang. Yeah, I think that'd be great. So we'll just
Yeah.
plan a meeting, but not book study. I love that.
It'll be our
Yeah.
Christmas party.
Yeah.
Fun.
See, no, I'm just kidding.
Okay, I gotta get on another, our next meeting is starting. I don't know if you're coming to that, Melissa, but I'm going.
What am I missing?
Sideline.
It's a sideline one. We're gonna